Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Tonight, Australia hits a new milestone in the pandemic, with the National Cabinet scrapping mandatory COVID isolation from October 14. The Prime Minister says it's time to move beyond emergency settings, but stops short of declaring the pandemic over. Doctors warn the move could unleash a wave of infections. Well, here the Tasmanian Greens have accused Premier Jeremy Rockliff of betraying Tasmanians by leading calls for the isolation period to be scrapped. They say he's failed to put health first. The state's business community, though, has welcomed the changes, saying it gives certainty day to day.
I think it's a bit more certainty for us now and our staff as well, that they can come to work now after 1 or 2 or 3 days not feeling well, they're feeling better, they can come to work.
The state government says it believes mandatory isolation periods are disproportionate to the COVID risk. Firefighters say lives are being put at risk on the northwest coast because of under-resourcing. A promised extra crew is yet to be delivered, with claims hospital safety is on the line.
Enough crews haven't been available the past 2 times the fire alarm has sounded at the Mersey Community Hospital.
Firefighters who are familiar with the Mersey Hospital have told me that, in their view, the result would be absolutely catastrophic if a fire broke out at the Mersey.
The United Firefighters Union says under-resourcing is putting lives at risk. They're calling for the government to deliver an extra Devonport crew it promised by the end of the year.
It's really important the government do their bit and support those firefighters in keeping people and property safe. Not just at the Mersey Community Hospital, but schools, homes, hospitality venues.
In question time yesterday, the Fire Minister Felix Ellis couldn't commit to delivering it. However, Michael Ferguson confirmed a crew was on the way.
We need to continue to do more, and we are still committed to our targets there, including at Devonport.
The union and the state government are currently locked in bargaining negotiations, but without the negotiating, both sides are urging each other back to the table, with a new deal more than a year overdue.
Firefighters in Tasmania are the lowest paid in the country. They're asking for a fairly modest pay rise in the scheme of things.
Fire Minister Felix Ellis says the government won't meet until all work bans are dropped, and a claim will be lodged with the Tasmanian Industrial Commission. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Speeding drivers are being warned they could face fines of over $1,000, with new cameras now keeping watch on Tasmanian roads. The $8 million network has already resulted in penalties being issued, with plans to bring more cameras online next year.
Patrolling our state's roads, 8 new mobile speed cameras are out in force from today, nabbing those driving recklessly.
These cameras will be actively sending out infringement notices as a result of people speeding.
We know that speed is a factor in about 1 in 3 fatal and serious crashes on our roads.
The cameras will be deployed around the state, particularly in high speeding areas and crash hotspots.
The cameras can capture up to 6 lanes, I believe, across in both directions.
And the penalties will sting.
They vary from, I think, $91 and 2 demerit points up to over $1,000 and 6 demerit points and 4 months automatic suspension.
All to promote road safety and drive down the number of fatalities.
In Tasmania to date, we are having a terrible year for the loss of life, with 43 Tasmanians and interstate visitors no longer alive because of deaths on our roads. And it's still only September.
When we talk about lives lost on the road, it sounds like we're talking about a statistic. They're not. It's a person that's died. It's a family member of our community.
With this technology needed now more than ever.
We do hope they change behaviours and slow the cars down on the road so everyone can get safely to where they need to go.
The next phase will see an additional 8 cameras come on board, with new technology to detect mobile phone use and drivers not wearing seatbelts. But for now, the warning is clear.
Be on notice, people who are prepared to speed, you will get caught.
McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
As the manhunt for Robert Gregg enters its 5th day, authorities now believe the Brighton man is being assisted by people known to him. Significant resources continue to be thrown at searching houses and properties in southern Tasmania after 2 police vehicles were shot at in Glenfern on Monday evening.
He's being hit by his family and associates. This person could have killed 2 police officers. He can only hide for so long before he needs to come out. I would implore him to contact police.
The community is being reminded to keep an eye out for Mr Gregg's Holden, Colorado, with registration YD08IP. Former Premier Will Hodgman will finish as High Commissioner to Singapore in February, a year earlier than planned. The former Premier's posting is one of several shortened, with Foreign Minister Penny Wong announcing the previous government's approach towards appointments would be reversed. Mr Hodgman was announced for the role in November 2020, 8 months after resigning as Premier. Tasmania's Sport Minister Nick Street is buoyed by the optimism surrounding our AFL bid. Adelaide's John Olsen and Gold Coast Tony Cochrane are among the club presidents to speak out in recent days and say the bid stacks up.
This isn't just about the benefits for Tasmania being in the competition, this is about the benefits for the competition of having Tasmania in it. And we were confident the whole way along.
A decision is expected in the next fortnight on whether a team will be granted. Our Police Commissioner Darren Hine is preparing to clock off after more than 40 years of service. Excited for what life will bring post-career, he's taking the time to reflect on the journey, which at times has been dark and challenging.
2010 marked the beginning of a significant chapter in Darren Hine's career, appointed to the top job in the policing ranks.
Some tell the story that I'd said in my, as a 17-year-old or 18-year-old, that yes, I wanted to be Commissioner. I don't quite remember that, but I've been fortunate enough to get the position I've got now and retire as a very proud police officer.
Bidding farewell to the badge, it's the simple moments he remembers fondly, but it hasn't been without trauma, often forced to deliver the news no one wants to hear.
I had to tell the husband that his wife wasn't coming home. And whilst I was inside, and the husband obviously devastated, their 2 young children came out of the bedroom and they were asking where Mummy was.
More recently, a key player in a period of uncertainty, steering the ship through a global pandemic.
We were well prepared, but none of us knew of what the pandemic meant and the fact it was worldwide.
Even fronting up on one of the state's darkest days, the Hillcrest tragedy, a time he'll never forget.
You're never prepared to go to those situations, but you're well trained to be able to deal with it as well. But as you said, it's an absolute tragedy.
A trip to the UK and spending more time with his family, a role on the cards for the Commissioner in retirement. And while he'll miss pulling on the uniform, he says he's ready to put the phone down and enjoy some anonymity.
I joined 42 and a half years ago, and till now, when I'm leaving the job on the 10th of October, a lot of water has passed on the bridge, but it's also seemed to have gone really quickly.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Changes to the Launceston General Hospital's management structure have been recommended as part of a child safe review. The group conducting the review has made a raft of interim recommendations, including the creation of a full-time child safety position. Full findings will be handed down later this year. The calls have been welcomed by the Medical Association and Nursing Federation. Thousands of Tasmanians have rolled up to Burnie for the state's first agricultural show of the spring season. After a 2-year hiatus, organisers managed to pull the event together in an incredible 7 weeks.
Crowds pour into the revamped Burnie show after a 2.5-year wait.
A hive of excitement at the moment. Patrons are coming in quicker than they're going out.
Here to see feather, fur and hoof as local breeders show off their best. The event going back to basics, but adding new elements to keep the crowds coming in.
We've still got the carnival rides, the animal competitions and displays, but then we've added Agri Expo to be more a trade show.
With just a little bit of kidding around.
I think it's a chance for all the people that live in town or the cities to come out and see, one, where their food comes from and get out in the fresh air and things like that and see what the country can offer.
Organisers pulling the extravaganza together in just 7 weeks, with 5,000 patrons expected on site at any one time over the 2-day event.
This year's show, the main aim is to get the layout right so we can start putting permanent infrastructure in.
It's not just agriculture keeping crowds entertained today. Sideshow Alley also proving a major draw card.
It's fun and you can buy show bags.
What do you got in your show bag?
Squishies.
The kids love the show bag. It's not an American thing. So we're enjoying that. Of course, the animals are a big attraction as well.
Bernie's show expecting wagon loads again tomorrow. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania could play host to a Women's World Cup training camp next year with freshly minted club rooms at Kingborough's Lightwood Park to aid our chances. Those rooms were unveiled to club members today as work continues on the $6 million redevelopment that also includes a FIFA standard pitch and lights.
But it also means that we can actually host some other higher level football going onwards. So it's about the legacy that it leaves to the club.
They're hoping an A-League match could be held there in the future. The Hobart branch of MakeAWish is setting up for its gala dinner tomorrow night. The celebration commemorating 30 years of wishes granted for critically ill children, with more than 600 people set to attend.
30 years of wishes!
MakeAWish keeps bringing meaning into my life and smacking me across the face about what really matters.
Event organisers are hoping to raise $100,000 to help fulfil the 24 wishes still on their wait list. An iconic southern Tasmania bar with 50 years of history has received a major makeover. Tucked inside the Rest Point complex, the Birdcage Bar has been closed for the past 3 months while the $1 million revamp was completed.
We wanted to really make sure that the restoration of this bar had a nod to the past but also brought it into the future.
Staff are now eager to welcome back patrons, showcasing a wide variety of homegrown distillers. A controversial Australian rules football match with an ending no one could have predicted is being relived in a book. Ex-Wynyard and North Hobart players coming together to share memories, laughter and healthy debate about their 1967 state premiership.
55 years ago to the day, Wynyard and North Hobart were locking horns in the 1967 Australian Rules State Premiership. North Hobart just 1 point down on the scoreboard before David Collins made a memorable mark. The Premiership's fate clutched in his hands.
If I kicked a point, it would have been a draw, but if I kicked a goal, it would have been catastrophic for them.
But he never got the chance, spectators swarming onto the field.
The crowd have come onto the ground, he's got to take his kick and so they're going to have to get the crowd off.
The other players were trying to form a sort of an avenue for Dick to run up and take his kick, and that was impossible, and the umpire was sort of trying to get control. It just mayhem.
Wynyard fans pulling a goalpost from the ground, then fleeing aboard a Tasman train, the post going with them.
I don't think there's anything like this has happened anywhere in Australia.
The final declared no result.
We think we virtually won the game.
Now the infamous story is being relived, former players celebrating the launch of Mick Hawkins' The Goalpost final.
We've got one common bond, I think, is the fact that we were all part of Tasmanian football history.
Anyone looking to get their hands on the book can do so through the clubs. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
An art exhibition encouraging conversations around mental health awareness will open its doors from tomorrow. Minds Do Matter is on display at QV Mag until December 11, showcasing local Tasmanian talent.
As you look around this exhibition and you see these works and these artist statements, these local stories, the lived experience.
I have 3 pieces, a combination of 3 pieces, which is photography, and they include 3 different headings around. One is the courage to be yourself.
This year's theme is Courage, celebrating the relationship between mental health and art, and it features 184 works across a range of mediums and techniques.
Good evening. The T20 World Cup trophy has arrived in Hobart, giving cricket fans the chance to take a glimpse at the prized silverware. Making its way around the globe, its arrival signals the start of the ICC Men's World Cup. The travelling T20 trophy has made its way down under.
It's continued its journey right across the globe and it's having a great time here in Tasmania, that's for sure. On Tuesday it had a scenic trip across the Tasman and the mighty spirit of Tasmania.
Yesterday meeting some Tassie Devils at Cradle Mountain, tomorrow heading to Salamanca Markets before climbing to new heights atop Kunani Mount Wellington.
It's a really exciting time for Tasmanian cricket. I'm especially looking forward to the double headers. It's not something you get every day in sport. And it's going to be something quite unique to this tournament.
The series will open with a double header. Former champions West Indies will clash with Scotland and Zimbabwe meet Ireland. Hobart will host 9 matches, more than any other city.
It's one of the 7 world-class venues that will be hosting Australia's first ICC Men's T20 World Cup.
We'll continue to do what's necessary to make sure that events of this calibre come to Tasmania, so that all Tasmanians can be exposed to high-class entertainment, but also our kids can be exposed to high-class athletes as well.
World Cup fever is just around the corner, with only 16 days to go before all the action kicks off at Blunston Arena. The Tassie Tigers have once again started strongly in the Marsh One Day Cup, winning the toss against Queensland and choosing to bowl first. The Tigers managing to remove the balls for a total of 164. Test batsman Usman Khawaja and Marnus Labuschagne both falling cheaply.
You've just got to get to a total.
In the air and caught. Khawaja gone now. Bird swung around and claims his first breakthrough. It's a big one as well.
Riley Meredith, the destroyer for Team Tassie, with 5 for 26. Tasmania are now batting, and a short time ago were none for 82. The Jackies are on the march to Melbourne as their NBL campaign officially kicks off tomorrow night. They'll go head-to-head with the Southeast Phoenix at John Cain Arena. But the local outfit aren't letting the fairy tale story of last season dominate their game.
We go into every game with the expectation to win, and we trust that the coaches will put together a plan for us to do that. And you know, all that outside noise is just that; it's just outside noise.
But in the beginning of the season, the first couple of weeks, everyone feels like they have a chance, and rightfully so. And so you're going to get the best punch from every team you play. And I expect tomorrow to be a grudge fight down there.
Facing tough competition for the season opener, the boys in green are now hoping to give their all and bring home a win on the road. And for tonight's Friday Flashback, we've dug up the story of Robin Best, Tasmania's champion NASCAR driver of the 80s and 90s. Although Best lays claim to 2 Australian NASCAR titles, he first caught America's attention in a landmark race down under.
While NASCAR's rough and tumble roots are firmly embedded in the United States,
Side over side, end over end.
NASCAR's first sanctioned event outside North America was in Australia in 1988. And Tasmanian Robin Best was ready for it, buying a second-hand Chevrolet Monte Carlo off American NASCAR legend Junior Johnson.
It's won $600,000-700,000 in 2 weekends over there. Only ever started twice and won them.
Best was the best of the Aussies. In fact, he was the only local to finish the Goodyear NASCAR 500 at Bob Jane's brand new Thunderdome in Calder, Victoria, ahead of the likes of Jim Richards and Dick Johnson. The performance helped the Tasmanians secure all important sponsorships to cover trips overseas and the odd bingle.
I've had 2 companies approach me, and so I suppose that's a step in the right direction.
But his career's crowning glory came closer to home. The Tasmanian claimed back-to-back Australian NASCAR titles in the early 90s, using the prize money to expand his fleet of Ford Thunderbirds and his racing empire.
You need to keep updating your equipment, so we think we're going to be really on the pace.
Best later dabbled in street circuit racing, but his heart and his mark was well and truly on NASCAR's famous oval tracks, which he made his own. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. Hobart 14 degrees today. Burnie had a cool 14 for show day. Launceston recorded the state's high of 17 and Devonport 15 degrees. Strawn, Friendly Beaches and Low Head all 16. King Island and Bushy Park 15. Flinders Island and Grove 14. St Helens 13. Lyawini recovered slightly from -2 to reach 8 degrees this afternoon. Low-level convective cloud over us today. Patchier over the south and southwest of the state. The cold pool of air with the speckled cloud formation is over the Tasman Sea, with low cloud over most of the southeast of the country. An extensive area of cloud with thunderstorm activity is over Western Australia and further north. Tomorrow the high weakens to our southeast. A cold front moves over the Bight. An area of low pressure builds over the central and northwest of the nation. Northeast to northwest winds at 10 to 20 knots, variable winds inland at around 5 to 10 knots. A frost warning has been posted for quite a few areas tomorrow, as temperatures expected to drop to -3 in parts of the Midlands. Hobart to kick off the weekend, a partly cloudy 16 degrees, -1 for Maydena, a morning frost, 15 the top, -2 for Oatlands and a top of 14. Launceston after a cool start, a top of 17 tomorrow and partly cloudy, bit of sun over Devonport, 11 the high for Lyowini. Burnie expecting 13 and mostly sunny. Strawn 16 and 15 the top for Marrawar. St Helens tomorrow a high of 15, mostly sunny for Swansea, 16 the top for Orford. On Sunday, fine apart from showers developing over the far south, morning frost patches again. Showers over the west and south on Monday and developing over the northeast in the evening. And on Tuesday, showers extending to most parts during the morning. Possible snow to 800 metres in the south. Sunny and 27 in Perth, fine and 22 in Adelaide tomorrow, okay in Melbourne, but showers up the east coast, with Sydney and Brisbane expecting a little wet weather. Partly cloudy in Hobart, it's 9 at the moment, 11 in Launceston, Devonport partly cloudy and 11 degrees. A cool start tomorrow morning, Kim, but a fine weekend on the way, and I hope you enjoy heading up to Coal River Valley.
Thank you very much, Merv. That wraps up tonight's bulletin. Louise and the team will join you over the weekend. For now, it's good night.